My name is Carrie Baxter. You may have met me before, maybe not. I'm the marketing manager here at Early Learning Indiana. And the biggest part of my job is to communicate with all of our day early learning families across our centers, as well as plan family engagement events, a lot like the ones that have been happening this week. So I'm joined today by Christine Garzabell and Erin Kissling. And I will go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Erin, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Great to be with you. My name is Erin Kissling, as Carrie already told you. I serve in the role of VP of Practice and Policy. And so basically that means I get the opportunity to lead and help our teachers and leaders really in their practice in the classroom and make the connections to greater conversations that are happening in our state and nationally when it comes to what should be happening in early childhood classrooms.
I'm Christine Garzabell, and I am Vice President of Early Learning Administration. And what that means is I get to work with all of our school leaders, and I might have met you in one of our centers or around. I'm typically like Erin, in and out of our classrooms and our buildings. And I focus on all of the things outside of the classroom work, making sure that things are running smoothly throughout our operations with our ops managers, with our school leaders, and just making sure that we are doing what we can to provide a great quality environment for all of the children and families we serve. We're going to focus here a little bit on the importance of family engagement, and I think what we want to share with our families related to what is family engagement and why is it important to us here at Day Early Learning. And family engagement is it's our responsiveness into how we meet with our families and how we respond to the individual strengths, cultures, the needs of all of our families that supports positive relationships and communications. And this work is really important because it builds the foundation of the relationships that are with families and our teachers. And we know that when we have strong parent and family relationships, that really embeds the learning of what's happening in our classroom, and to foster the well-being of each child, which is important in really achieving our ultimate success, which is making them successful later in school success. We welcome families as part of our open door policy, and we know that sounds a little bit not true coming out of the last 2 years. So we do want to remind all of our families that we have always had an open door policy up until we had to close all the doors because of the last 2 years. But we have really worked hard to make sure that our families feel welcome, that we've welcomed everybody back in a safe and healthy manner, and focusing on that and getting back to the core of what we believe in and how important it is to have partners with our families. Building that strong relationship with families is really beneficial for the children, and we actually see children do much better in their school and in their learning when they have parents and teachers working together. So we know that that's the best thing for our littlest learners. So we really want to continue to foster that in our work. And so we're going to be doing that in a few ways. And this is just kind of a reminder of some of the things that we've always done. We may have had to pause for a moment in the last couple of years, but we do want to get back to the important work of really engaging families and teachers and collaborating together for the best environment for our children. So there's a couple ways we do that. It's important how our interactions with your family and your child's teacher. And so we really try to set up that environment. And we know that sometimes the pickup and drop off time is a little bit busy for our teachers. So there's a lot of different ways that we can interact with them. Always feel welcome to talk with your school leader about setting up some time individually, but that morning and pickup and drop off time is a really important time for you to just have that quick touch base with your teacher, share what things have been happening. We also use a couple of digital systems that that most of you are comfortable with. So the the Life Cubby app. Sorry, that's our doorbell here at the center. Life Cubby app, as well as the Tadpoles app. And making sure that we're using those as a form of our two-way communication with families. And so you should be, let's see if I can afford this. Hopefully. So we're gonna share those communications with you. Look, I might have to go answer a door, guys. I'll be right back.
Got it. I think I'm next, so I'll step in there. That's the fun of being at a center, is there's always stuff going on. So let's see here. So this is actually a really great week for us to talk about family engagement because we have so much going on. Again, you know, Christine said this may not have been has been your experience over the last 2 years because we have been closed due to COVID. So we're really kind of making a splash now that it's safer to have everyone into our centers and have the children together and the families interacting. So we have a couple of different things that we're doing right now and that will be coming up. So first of all, we have our kindergarten readiness activities. So kindergarten readiness is our mission at Early Learning Indiana. And so we are working toward that from the day that children enter our centers until the day that they leave. And we know that that can be a really stressful transition for families. It's what do I do? How do I register? How do I know that my kid is ready for this? What can I do to help them be as great as possible in this new environment? So that is why we've created our kindergarten readiness activities. So you probably, if you're a pre-K parent, you would have received our first and second activity. Those are going to be going out every month from now until July. So I believe that's a total of 6 activities. And those are really just ways for you to take what's happening in the classroom and some really key things that children need to know to be ready for kindergarten and do those things at home. There's also a blog with some helpful information on how to register with a lot of the different schools that are in around the Indianapolis area as well as the West Lafayette area. We are also doing Week of the Young Child. So I know there has been so many fun things happening in classrooms at every single center this week. We are on Work Together Wednesday. So I hope that if you haven't already, that you'll be able to do our scavenger hunt with your children tonight. I believe the weather's looking okay, if I remember right last time I looked. So Week of the Young Child was created by the National Association for the Education of Young Children, also referred to as NACCE. It's the world's largest early childhood education association, and they established this week to celebrate and focus awareness on early childhood education. So we hope you're celebrating at home, taking all of those things that are happening in the classroom and continuing them with the at-home activity bags that we gave you guys on Monday. We'd love to see photos of what you're doing. A lot of the photos actually that are in this presentation are from Week of the Young Child, so you may see some things that you recognize. Another thing that we have coming up, this is really exciting. So we have some grant funding that we actually received in 2020 to be able to do permanent art installations at all of our 8 Indianapolis centers. We haven't been able to do those projects, obviously, because of COVID. Now that we're able to, though, we've got all of those scheduled. So I think tomorrow we've got IU Health and Eastern Star. And then on Friday we have Park 100, and the rest of those are next week. Those are going to be really, really fun events. We have an artist coming in from Arts for Learning, and they will lead a kind of drop-in art activity for you to do with your children. Any art that's created during that event will then be taken and made into a permanent art installation at that center. If you're not able to participate, we do have kits for you to take home, and then you can bring back the art and be a part of that installation as well. So I think this will be a really fun way for families to interact with each other, to interact with one of our partners, Arts for Learning, and then be able to see their center as a community in that art installation. And then we are going to look into what partnerships we can make at Purdue to hopefully extend those opportunities out there as well. Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up May 2nd to May 4th. And obviously, teachers are very important to your family. They're very important to us, to our organization, to the world, I would argue. And so we will provide a way for families to show their gratitude and appreciation to their teachers. But we do like to keep that a surprise. So you will receive more information via email. And you're welcome to reach out to your school leader if you want more information about how you can participate in that week. And then finally, this Family Forum series. So this is the first part of a 4-part series. So each quarter we're going to cover an important topic. Those topics and this idea was bred from the family survey that we did in 2021. So we heard overwhelmingly that families wanted at-home activities, they wanted events, and that's why we chose this as our first topic. So our next Family Forum is going to happen on August 10th, and that will cover the theory of teaching and learning. So we heard that a lot of families wanted to know more about our approach to teaching and learning, as well as the science behind it. So that's what we'll cover on the next event. You may hear that referred to as TOTAL. It's just an acronym for theory of teaching and learning. So be on the lookout for that invite. That'll probably come closer to July. And then our quarter 4 topic will just be chosen based on the feedback that we're getting from families around that time of the year. Next up, I will invite Erin to join us.
Hey. Yeah, so I'm going to talk just a little bit about our family conferences because those are coming up. They're right around the corner. And so last year we hosted over 230 virtual conferences all in the month of May. And so this year in the month of May, we'll host our family conferences again, and we'll use a hybrid approach this time. You'll have an option to connect virtually with many parents. Actually said it was more convenient for them. They did it, during a quick breakout during their lunch hour, or they didn't have to leave work to come and meet with their child's teacher, or you can leave work or take a morning spot to meet with your child's teacher. And so we will again use the invitation scheduling just like we did last year. So you'll get the opportunity to schedule directly with your child's teacher. And during the session, those will come later in the month of April, and all the conferences will be conducted in the month of May. During the session, your child's teacher will go over what's been happening in the classroom. And so they'll share with you the results of their of the observations that they've been taking and how your child is meeting the widely held expectations, measured against other children that are their age. And they'll use that information to really help inform their understanding and your understanding. They'll gather some feedback from you about how your child is doing at home. And then you guys can talk about sort of what are the next steps in your child's development and how will that be facilitated in their classroom. And so these are always fun conversations. We usually schedule them for about 15 to 20 minutes. And it's an opportunity for you to really connect with your teacher. Moving forward in the next school year, you should expect to see these twice a year. So we'll have an October conference and we'll have a May conference. So you kind of get that beginning of the year and end of the year opportunity to talk about the development that's happening in your child's classroom. So, so we're excited to get those back on the books for this year. Again, look for that late April invitation, and that'll come to your email, the one that you often receive messages from Early Learning Indiana and Day Early Learning.
Great, thank you. Let's see here. Okay, so we've come to the questions portion of the forum. That's what makes it a forum. So if you can use the questions box to put any questions that you have specifically regarding family engagement. I do want to say first off that we did get some questions and comments about the timing of this forum. So we will always share a video of the forum, and families can always submit questions beforehand. So we'll start with those questions here today. We are going to include a quick survey in the follow-up to this of some different times that might work best. So we want to make sure that this opportunity is available to all of our parents, And so if we can find a time that works for most people, then that's what we'll try to do. Let's see. Okay. So we got a few different groups here of questions. So the first one, I think I'll kick to Christine. Christine's back with us. Everything's good with the doorbell. Okay.
Sorry.
No problems. So a lot of families said that they would love to feel more connected to their center. They're wondering what the best way to do that is. Are there opportunities to be present in the classroom, to volunteer? How can they help?
Yeah, so I would definitely check in with your school leader. And as we come back to opening up the classrooms and inviting our families back, our Arts for Learning, our artists and other people back into the building, we're going to continue to do those screening processes at the, at the door. But as long as you're, if you have that time and you're willing to check in with your school leader, check in with your child's teacher, what, like, as Carrie said, when we have special events, as we think about what, this more of the sun and summer days, there's always opportunities for, to take kiddos on nature walks and things like that. And whenever we take our kids outside of the building, it's great to have an extra set of hands, thinking about other ways that you can participate. The children love for families to come in and read stories, to share whatever knowledge and expertise that somebody might play guitar or, love to. We're seeing some of that today on Work Together Wednesday. So if there are things and skills that you would like to share with your child's classroom or your child's teacher, it's a great conversation to open up, find out what's looking at their lesson plans, if they're studying buildings or they're studying different topics that they might be sharing in the classroom, and you might have a gift or talent to lend to that. We welcome those things. So we are definitely inviting our families to come back in, and it could be a small, 15, 20 minutes, read a story. If you're going to want to participate in any of our programs for a long extended period of time, we might have to do a little bit more with you, and your school leaders can share with you that if you plan to volunteer for like an extended period of time in any one given month, we can help you set those up too. So there's a little bit more requirements if you're going to want to participate. We'd love that. We just have to do a little bit more with following through on our complete background checks and things like that if you're inside our classrooms. But if you just want to spend some time reading a story or making a dish or making some Play-Doh, there's never enough homemade Play-Doh to be made. So all of those things are great opportunities for you to come and share your time and talents with us, and we would welcome that back.
Awesome. I think I'll kick this one to Erin. So this was another big topic. Wanting to know about what activities the children are doing in the classroom, what they're learning, and then how can parents continue that teaching at home, any tips on educational activities, and things like that.
Yeah, sure. I think Christine mentioned one of the really key tools that you can use to understand what's happening in the classroom is looking at the lesson plans that the teachers share. And so those have some details about what the activities that they'll be facilitating, and they post those in the classroom, and then you'll also find those available for you in the communication system that your school uses, whether that's LifeCubby or Tadpoles. And so I think when you think about the way that you can engage and ensure that your child's ready, many of the things that are really important for you to do are things that happen in your normal day-to-day life. And so thinking about, the conversations that you have, the ways that you can sort of draw out your child's curiosity by pointing out interesting things in the world around them, and then having a conversation about what that is. Listen with some authenticity to what their ideas are about it, and ask them open-ended questions, right? That give you the opportunity to sort of spark deeper conversation with them. I think when you're thinking about some of the other things that are really important for your child to be ready for kindergarten are those, physical skills. This morning I was in a classroom with 3-year-olds, and one of the things that they were working on during snack time was actually their ability to open the package that they had. And so, and that's actually a really important skill when you get to kindergarten. And so, I think you know, when you're in that space where you have to do it independently, it's some things for them to work on now. And so giving them the opportunities to do that at home are also important. And so, so thinking about, you know, just your normal day-to-day routines that you have the opportunity to involve your child in, that gives them the opportunity to really engage in some of those kindergarten readiness skills. You will see, as our teachers continue to implement the curriculum, that they will be sharing some family letters with you and some at-home activities that connect directly to what they're doing in the classroom. And so recently, I actually had the opportunity to talk with a parent who's was able to talk to their child about the buildings that they were driving home, that were on their route home. And it's not something they'd ever thought to talk about before, but they were talking about buildings in their classroom. And this gave them the opportunity to just connect to what they were learning and really extend it for their child. And they had some really interesting conversations and used some language that the parent was just, you know, sort of shocked that they could hear their 3-year-old using. And so I think that connection is super important, and we'll continue to foster that by sharing with you, the resources that are part of our curriculum and the activities that we do in our classrooms.
Great. As someone who has spent a good amount of time in lunchrooms at K-12 schools, I can tell you that opening snacks and milk is actually a very much needed skill. So I think too, Erin, a great example of how we're helping with this is our scavenger hunt today, which does have some tips on how you can incorporate some of the lessons that we are teaching in the classroom as well. I know we've gotten a couple of questions here. One more from pre-submitted, so I'll ask Christine this, and I can add a little bit too if you need me to. But will there be more opportunities for in-person family engagement at the center? Could there be more events where parents can play with the children and meet other families?
So I definitely think that, like I said, encouraging that open door policy to add any of our families that want to participate in their child's classroom. And then we are working on reestablishing some of our parent committees and some of our parent training events that we've had done before in the past. So I think they'll give us some opportunities. One of our centers had hosted like a movie evening where they've invited families and things. They've had fall festivals. So again, we've done some of those things in the past. One of our centers was had racked up a lot of historical, I would say, events by doing a chili cook-off with the dads. And so different ways to make sure that all of our families feel welcome and participated. So we're just getting back to revamping as a group what those things will look like and what supports we would need. And so I definitely think you'll be able to see more of those come. I think the summer also offers us an opportunity to just engage with families outdoors. So as we think about other ways that we'll have, we've done other things. So different small events that we'll have be hosted in our center. If you feel like there's an idea that you would have, I would really just encourage you to talk with your school leader. And so that's exactly how families partner with our centers, because you might have an idea that we have not thought of, and a talent or a resource that we'd want to tie into. So definitely just reach out and share what those thoughts and ideas are, and then we can always come together to make that go life.
Awesome. Okay. I do want to encourage anybody to add questions to the questions box. We have a couple here. Let's see. Yep, we've got another parent saying that it would be really, really nice to have opportunities to meet with the other families, even if it was outside of the daycare or school itself. Let's see. So we got a question here. Can you talk a little bit about the requirements and guidelines that we ask our teachers to adhere to when communicating with families? So how much should they be communicating through the app? What should parents be expecting in that world?
So I think generally we should have, especially I know sometimes it looks a little bit different because for our infants and toddlers, we're communicating a little bit more about like mealtime, diaper changing, but there should be some regular cadence to all of that for all of our children. So you should be getting at least a daily update from in either system, whether it's Tadpoles or Life Cubby. As Erin mentioned, the teachers are posting their lesson plans in both of those forums. And there should be a weekly update coming out at minimum. And then some of our teachers do a phenomenal job of getting those updated daily, just sharing like, you know, today we were talking about buildings. Ask your child if they see an apartment building on the way home or if they see a skyscraper, right? So you can definitely see those. So there should be some of those communications coming out from your classroom. We also use both. We had to use one today to share with one of our centers experienced environmental issue, and we had to notify families of an emergency and how we had to adapt changes to that. So you should see those platforms as well as those emails coming out from either Life Cubby or Tadpoles on a very regular cadence. Again, if there is issues, we're just getting back to having that. Erin and I are both working with our teams to make sure that our teachers are updating those informations. There's some technology that they're getting trained in and around too. So we're making some curriculum enhancements that Erin could speak to on how often some more of that will be coming through, I think.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see if anybody's got any other questions that they would like to put into the questions box. I'll give you guys a little bit of time to do that now. Christine or Erin, did you want to plug maybe our Day of Impact as an opportunity later this year?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So we have an annual event that we call Day of Impact, and I think this will be the third year that we've done it. But this is an opportunity for volunteers to come and support the centers and in various ways based on what the needs of the centers are. And so our central office team from that, they're around and out at the centers. So we have sort of teams of our teams of our team, that's what I'm going to say, that are assigned to different buildings to really help the school leaders understand what the buildings need, and then how they can be met, those needs can be met. So we've done all sorts of things, helped install gardens, done some playground mulching refresh. We've built furniture and redone teacher lounges. And so all of these things that really are super helpful to the teams at the centers, but often they don't have the extra time to go do. And so so we use this day to dedicate to really getting them some of those big projects across the line for them. And so I believe it's in September. And you'll definitely get some more communication about that from Carrie's team that will encourage you to volunteer as you're able during that special event, which is usually on a Friday in September.
I want to say it's the 23rd, but I could be off by like a day or two. It could have been last year. Okay. Looks like we've got some other questions in here that Heather's doing a great job of answering. Okay, I'll just invite in this last minute here if anybody else has any questions to add. Erin, Christine, if you have anything you want to add.
I would just add that I did a quick check, and it is September 23rd that the Day of Impact will be. Nice recall there.
Whew. Okay, good, because that's coming up. In my world, that's coming up soon.
I just want to say welcome back. I think we took a longer than we would ever expected or wanted to hiatus, and so we're glad to welcome you back into our buildings, and we're glad to get started on not only meeting the request of this forum, but just having you back in the buildings to build those partnerships up and share your I think your time and your talents with us. I think we're excited to have those back.
Awesome. I'm excited too. Day of Impact. I think actually this is our 4th year, Erin. The first year I was not here, but the last 2 we weren't able to have a lot of parent involvement just due to COVID. So I'm really excited to see what this year will bring. So, okay. Well, I do want to remind everybody that we will send out a video recording of this as well as a questionnaire on the timing. I know that's important to families. And other than that, we just thank you for joining us.